Hey, guess what? We're back. It's the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. All right. Welcome back. I had to remind you that we have a groovy intro, but this is the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Joining me is my man from South Georgia, the Ware County Gator himself. It's Israel Troop, man. What's going on, bud?
What's up, brother? What's up? I'm just getting ready for this little region run that we got going on here. We start region this weekend, which is
nice.
It's that time of the year.
Yeah, we have another region game. We had our first region game 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, we weren't able to win that one because we were kind of off kilter. Kind of made the team that we played against looked a lot better than they are. This past week, we had a little GHSA action against Christian Heritage in Dalton. We came down, got back on track there, 42-2, and so now we're ready to play Father Ryan this week. And a big region matchup. So it's going to be good. We're going to head off into our bye week, a much needed bye week. We're kind of beat up right now, so that's going to be huge for us if we can get a win and then get on our bye week and get a few guys healthy for our stretch run and our run into the playoffs.
Absolutely, we don't have any more byes, so it is 10 games straight. It's kind of what we're preaching at, guys. 10 games straight. Once you get that 10th game, you already know what time it is. So, it's just one of those deals. Although we want to get to game 10, it's still one game at a time. So this weekend, we've got to go back to Savannah, take care of business over there and then keep chopping till December.
Hey, that's what we do, man. We got, if we want to win it all, we got 8 games left, but we're a smaller playoff field because there's only 11 teams in Division II AAA. So we just kind of reshuffle the deck and play it out. But we are presented by betonline.ag, your number one source for all your sports wagering needs. If you played and hit some parlays this weekend, congrats. My parlays they weren't very good this weekend. I kind of got crushed a little bit, but that's okay. I don't put any big money on it anyway. But they have parlays. You can play live bets throughout the games, all kind of things, money lines, futures, props, how many times they're going to show Taylor Swift on during the Chiefs game, all of that good stuff. And it's all right there, betonline.ag. So head to the website or use your mobile device, put in the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, there you go, to get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So betonline.ag, it's where the game starts. So yeah, we're not gonna make any picks in this show. That's for later on this week when we preview the Kentucky Wildcats. They're coming to town this Saturday, I should say. So that'll be a good matchup. But I want to talk about the matchup that we just had with Auburn on the Plains. Georgia came in as, I think the lines closed at 14.5. They were 16.5 most of the week. But Auburn showed me a little something, and you and I both knew that this game was going to be tough on the road. Carson Beck, first time starting in an environment like Jordan-Hare Stadium, and you can attest to this. That is not a fun place to play. That is not an easy place to play. But got off to a shaky start, which was predictable given the shaky starts he's gotten off to, plus the environment. It wasn't a recipe. It was more of a, hey, survive the first half, settle down, and then get after it in the second half. And for a lot of Georgia fans, they wanted to see us just completely dominate an inferior opponent in Auburn, which Auburn showed. Guess what, Israel? They play in the SEC. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not an inferior opponent because they play in the SEC. They've got SEC talent. So yeah, they're allowed to play like an SEC team, and Auburn did just that. So we're going to break down. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball first, because let's face it, we're two offensive coordinators, so we're going to start over there. Um, let's start with what went right. So we're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, essentially. And we'll start with the good. Israel, give me a good.
The good part is seeing Dejan without a knee brace on. I think he came out, he ran hard. He ran really hard in between the tackles. The touchdown that he got off the pin pull sweep on the outside was absolutely beautiful. Blocked up well by the offensive line and the receiver outside. So, seeing Dejan, look like he was about, 100% running the football, I think that was absolutely awesome. We tried to get the ball to Brock in the first half. And it's really hard to get the ball to a guy like that, especially when they know that of who he is. If you look, they had a linebacker on him, plus a corner, plus a safety, because we do so much 12 personnel, 21 personnel type stuff. So that's kind of tough, but, at the same time, he goes off for 159 in the second half. That just shows you what kind of guy he is and shows you how important that he is in getting the ball to him. And the best part of Saturday was seeing Lab McConkey come back in the small packages and capacity that he did. He comes in and makes a couple of huge first down catches. He takes some of the attention off of Brock. So now you have to account for that guy. We had a lot of guys step up, make some big catches. Rosemary Jackson came in, did a great job on the perimeter. Ra Thomas, those guys, have done a phenomenal job on the perimeter. So the good is that, we're still early in this thing. And like I said, it's the SEC, and it's Auburn in Auburn. And one thing about playing on the Plains, those people are going to show up for this ball game. They may not show up for another one, but they're going to show up for this one. So it was loud and it was rocking. And Kirby alluded to it, after the game. I think the atmosphere, the crowd, and that a lot of those things, kind of had a helping hand. And it's struggling in the first half, but the fact that this team is resilient, I think that's the word, for us this season, is being resilient. We start off slow. It happens. It happens to some of the best teams all the time, but it's how you finish. That's why we play 4 quarters. And, and like I tweeted it the other day, if you're going to panic in the first quarter or the first half, then you just don't believe. When the clock is 0 at the end and we're down and we're losing, that's when I'm like, all right, we're struggling a little bit. But until that clock hits 0, there's a 98.2% chance that Georgia's going to win the ball game now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because they haven't lost since the SEC championship in the 21 season. It's a 22-game win streak. It's best in the country. So I'm going to assume that we're going to win until we don't. And I agree with you. All the good stuff that happened, you had guys stepping up. Brock Bowers in the second half really went off. 159 yards receiving. That last touchdown was designed so beautifully to take advantage of the coverages and Auburn not really getting out of the zone coverage to account for Brock Bowers, because at that point you should have. And it was what's that?
I said at that point you definitely should have, because it was pretty much the Brock Bowers show all of the fourth quarter. That's for dang sure. You got a little sprinkle of it in the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter, it was pretty much Brock Bowers and Carson Beck show. Sprinkle in a little bit of Dejan Edwards.
So this was the concept that we scored the go-ahead touchdown on. It was a 2x2 concept. I'm not sure what was happening on the backside. I don't really care. But this is usually a snag concept that goes with a corner route. But instead, he deked the corner and took it to a dig, settled in right about where between the guard and the tackle, caught the ball there, and then just took off. And so it was a beautifully designed play.
On the outside to pull the backer and the corner with it, because obviously you got Ladd and Brock on the same side, so you just occupied literally 3 people in that triangle, all at one time, and just left the middle of the field open. By the time he catches the ball, it's too late. You're not going to catch him.
Yeah, safety was trying to play over top of Brock Bowers, anticipating that he was going to break it to the corner on the snag concept, and he didn't, and the safety couldn't recover, get back downhill, and Brock Bowers does what Brock Bowers does. Dejon Edwards was running really hard. I'm so excited that he's doing what he's doing because he waited so patiently. He could have transferred, probably could have started anywhere else in the conference, probably could have started for any team on the Eastern Seaboard, chose to stay at Georgia, and now he's running back one. So I was excited to see that. I was excited to see the offensive line kind of get more on the same page in the second half, communicate a little bit better. I mean, Georgia, I kept saying, I was at a party, and they had the game on at the party, but I kept saying Georgia's moving the ball way too well for this game to be tied or Georgia being behind. I was like, we're just moving it way too well. And we would get down in the red zone, or we'd get in some important third down situations. We'd take a sack, or we'd overthrow something, or something we get tipped, or, Auburn played some really good third down defense, and they played some really good defense in pressure situations, which kept them in the ball game and made the ball game the way it was versus the way it probably should have been, the way we were moving the ball, and the way that, and also the way that they became one-dimensional, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Absolutely.
Bad
and
on
I think
offense.
they did a really good job of taking away what we like to do in the first half. We like to, run the ball in between the tackles. Well, we realized really quick that just wasn't going to happen. Me and you talked before the broadcast, and I was like, the most disappointing thing is, we got all these accolades before the season with our offensive line, and we can't even run zone to get. I know I was just watching it just a minute ago. It's 3rd and 2
It's communication
in the very first series. And we don't even get the 2 yards. Dejon gets hit, at the line of scrimmage. You would think running zone, especially for those big bodies, whether we're missing a player here or there, we should be able to get 2 yards. We should be able to move the chains right there. So, one thing that I've noticed, and, we talked about the good, now here's the bad, is that we haven't gotten any really good cohesiveness on offense, and the plays are there. There you can see it. You can see it develop. I mean, we missed Delk on a big play at the beginning. Brock takes the corner and the safety with him. We have kind of overthrown. It's just all about execution. We're not executing in the first half. We're kind of just getting our footing, going into halftime. Then the second half, it's like, boom, all right, we figured it out. At some point, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen this weekend, that we're going to need to score. And it's one of those deals to where, all right, what do we do, to get that going? Well, one thing that we've done this week at practice is we've started having competition at the beginning of practice. We go against our first defense, and then we make it a competition to where, all right, if you lose, you got, 10 up downs, things like that to kind of build that competition at the beginning. And we always make it situational. I know Coach Smart and that crew is all about different situations. And I think it's time to have, that talk and sit down. Like, hey, this is the situation. We're trying to score on the first series. If we don't score, then we got gas or something in the practice. You kind of got to implement that into where execution, is at the utmost importance.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to put a little more pressure on those guys to execute in those pressure pack situations. But to me, I think it's all summed up with one word: communication, or lack thereof. I think that there's calls not being made across the line. Maybe it's a trust thing. Maybe it's okay, we're trying to protect Carson and not put him in situations rather than just let him get out there and let him rip it, and quit like trying to baby him. I don't know if part of it's play calling, like ultra conservative, like let's not get ourselves in a tough spot early type play calling. I don't know if it's that combined with just like a heavyweight boxer feeling out for the first 2 or 3 rounds his opponent, and then all of a sudden you get to like the 4th, 5th, 6th round and they start wailing on each other and they start letting it rip. So I think it's just an execution thing. I think it's just a confidence thing. I think it's just something that, I think over time we'll get a little more, fast starts. I think considering we proved ourselves from 2 league games that, hey, we can get down and come back. Like, it's okay if we be a little bit more aggressive. You saw this with Stetson, right? You saw the same exact stuff with Stetson. I mean, it's no different. It's not a Bobo thing. It's not unless you're like, oh, I hate the play calling with Bobo. I mean, you could look at any OC and say, yeah, I don't like certain play calls, or I typically say, okay, I probably wouldn't call that in that situation, but that doesn't mean I hate what he called. It just means that, like, hey, we're just different. But I think
Absolutely.
Todd Monken did the same thing until he got confidence in Stetson Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think Carson's the guy.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, the man was still 33 or 43, if not mistaken, for over 300 yards. He had a touchdown in the pick. And in the pick, I think it's just a bad read in my opinion. I just think he just made a bad read. Third down situation, you're trying to get the first down. I mean, I get it. But the play before that, we gotta make the throw. That is the exact same drive, that we missed Delk on. And then we get stopped, on the third.
It was the play right before. We missed Delp on first down, and then we run it second down, and then we try to force one into the middle because, hey, we got it, so we're going to try to force that thing. And
absolutely,
the guy made a play on it.
Like you said, I think they trust one another. I think it's a deal to where we're just coming out flat. As a team. I think the game plan at the beginning was pretty dang good. The whole eye candy, to get the ball to depth right there. I mean, that's huge. That shows that we're not scared to throw the ball down the field, things like that. So I just think we're just coming out flat. I think the play calls are there. It's just we're coming out flat and you got to execute. I think those are two things right now that just kind of hindering us at the moment. And everybody wants to have a scapegoat. Everybody wants to say it's Bobo. So if you just think that it's the play call, then you're obviously not watching the whole entire game. I think more and more people are starting to see that. But you still have those outliers that, think that they know everything. And it's all Bobo. Well, Bobo didn't go out there. He can't block. He can't make throws. You know what I mean? And people are open, and we're just missing them.
Yeah. I mean, is it Bobo? Sometimes, yeah. Is it Carson Beck? Yeah, sometimes. Is it somebody ran a wrong route? Yeah, sometimes.
When we make bad head calls, we get it all the time from parents and stands.
I have a fan club. I don't know if you had I had a fan club. I don't know if you have a fan club. Do you have a fan club?
I've had a fan club before in my life. At one.
Do you have one now?
No, I don't have one right now.
I guess being state champs, they're pretty happy with most of your play calls, aren't they?
Sometimes this year it's been a little trying every once in a while, but but it comes with the territory. You know what I mean? That's why I say this all the time. All these people want to say what we should and shouldn't do as coaches. All right, well, you put in your application. You come out here and you make this call. I'll give you the call sheet so you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, or you can call off the top of the dome. It really doesn't bother me. Let's see how good you do in these pressure situations. When your job, your mortgage counts on these 15, 16-year-old kids, executing and doing what they're supposed to do.
And you got 10 to 15 seconds to make a decision.
Yes. Good luck. Some of you can't even decide what you want to eat, what shoes you want to wear. What do you want to wear, clothes you want to wear throughout the day, yet alone make a play call in 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Shoot. Like half of that. Yeah, it's bad.
Get everything in. Come on, guys. I mean, it's hard. It's hard enough out here.
I guess that's the ugly. Like, people thinking Carson Beck is not the guy. Like, I still think he's the guy. Like, it's not him and him solely. I mean, yeah, he's not. I mean, he forced the ball in there on a third down early to give up an interception, which ultimately led to some points. But like that's the ugly is saying it's wholeheartedly Mike Bobo or it's wholeheartedly Carson Beck. And I think, you have to go with a guy that's been in those scenarios before. Like I don't know that pulling him for Brock Van. I don't know that starting. I think if we start Brock Vandagriff, we probably lose that game. And that's no slight to Brock Vandagriff, but like Carson Beck is just a little more. I don't know. Like he's proven that we can trust him in those scenarios. Like he came back from a game that I don't know, any other new starting quarterback would have probably lost against South Carolina. And he came back and was like, okay, here we go. Let's go back to work. Second half, we're gonna get it. We're gonna score on 5 out of 6 possessions. Did the same thing against Auburn. 98-yard drive to take the lead. Like, that's ridiculous.
98 yards. I tweeted that too. We just went 98 yards.
I guess if people are still doubting him after that, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I mean, is he Stetson Bennett? Not yet.
And here's the thing that I figured out about our fan base, and people will admit it too. That we've gotten spoiled the last couple of years. But here's the thing that they look at all these games before Georgia plays, right? They look at the Oklahomas and the USCs and Colorados and Oregons and all those people out there and think that this is how football goes. You forget that we play in the SEC where people actually play defense. They may bust the coverage here or there, or, they might not, they may be a little young on that side of the ball, but people actually play defense in the SEC. It's kind of hard to score in this league. You're at LSU and Ole Miss, we'll talk about that later, but it's really hard to score in this league. You know what I mean? So they recruit just like we do. And it comes down to an excuse standpoint. We are not the people out in the West, they don't play defense. Anything on this side and South, we play defense over here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we're not going to let you sit back there for 30 years and throw, for 650 yards against us. No, that's not going to happen.
No, not at all. Not at all. We're going to play defense. Auburn has always played defense. The defense has never been the issue in this 11-year win streak that we have.
They're good on defense every year in and year out. They're really good on defense.
Yeah, they always have somebody getting after you. I mean, that loss the last time we lost to Auburn, which was 2017, they had huge guys in the middle. That's when they had Derek Brown. That's when they had all those pass rushers, and I mean, they could flat get after you. They always have good defense. Offense is usually an enigma, but they always have really good defenses. And when they have some talent on offense, they're a dangerous team because that atmosphere is great. So speaking of defense, Israel, let's go back to the good. Let's spin this thing back into a positive note. What's the good on defense?
The good we're seeing Bullard back, seeing Stark back, seeing Tyke Smith, the secondary and pass, coverage look a lot better. It's one of those deals to where, we got a lot of guys in the secondary making tackles, which is good because we're going to need it this coming week against Kentucky, but with that good comes a whole lot of bad because we're just letting people get on the perimeter, which is not very good because we got too many people in the box, and I think that's one of those deals to where we thought that Auburn was going to throw the ball a little bit more than they did. So obviously you got people spread out and kind of take away windows and things like that, but they kind of hit us, where it hurts. You always make adjustments, that defensive side of the ball and that coach staff does a phenomenal job of making adjustments. But, I was even getting a little frustrated. I was like, are we not going to do anything to keep them from running outside the tackle box? No, in between the tackle box, I think we're good. Give or take a run or two to where they kind of hit us on, they hit us on the touchdown right there. But I mean, it's on the goal line. So, I mean, you're going to get a couple extra bodies down there. But, the long run Thornton had, I mean, there was nobody outside on the perimeter to keep it in contained because I think we played a lot of man in this game until the second half. So. Another good is seeing Everett. Man, Everett played a really good game at corner.
I thought he played a tremendous game.
I think our secondary looked really, really good. I think our linebackers look good. It's just those perimeter runs when they kind of got us on the edge. We kind of took a lot of bad angles. So I'm pretty sure today was a lot of angle drill tackle, a lot of angry people at practice today, if I had to guess on a Monday.
I bet Kirby was on that microphone going absolutely ballistic. But yeah, for me,
sure he let it.
He let him have it. I guarantee he let him have it.
He was in the middle of drills today. They probably did old school Oklahoma today, if I had to guess. Just defensive players, no offensive players, just defensive players, just knocking the hell out of each other.
Probably so. But I mean, for me, the good again was summed up with kind of one play when talk about secondary. Auburn threw a pass. Dude made a really, really good catch, but like at the last minute, Dalen Everett just comes in and just swats it out. I mean, the guy made a hell of a catch, and Edwards just, I mean, Edwards. I'm thinking of Dejon Edwards. Dalen Everett just played right through the ball. Like he just continued playing right through the ball, and he just smacked it out. And it was, just, and it looked so nonchalant, like he's done that a million times, which was great. I think they couldn't get anything going in the passing game, which is the reason why I think they lost, is because they became one dimensional. Because Peyton Thorne was too busy running. And
if he was Michael Vick, he'd have scored a couple of those. I was like, yeah, dog, are we going
that one
to
where
tackle this man?
That first drive where he got off on a 60-yard run, I was like, the hell is this?
Yeah, where's this guy?
It's like, where did he come from?
This was not in the scouting report.
No, what's it? But you could see the fear in his eyes when they showed the slow-mo and the close-up of his face. He was like, oh no. You could see it in his face. He was terrified.
Get out of bounds as quick as possible is what he was looking for.
He was running. He was, oh my God. Yeah, it was bad. So, but yeah, that's my good. I thought the linebackers played okay. I thought the safeties played tremendously. I thought the DBs were the best unit on the field. Now my bad is going to be the interior of the defense and the edge guys playing the run. I mean, I think we were just off kilter. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be that guy's like, yeah, our defense tackles suck. Our outside linebackers suck.
Yeah.
They just weren't on the same page. But just busts, mental busts, assignment busts, things like that. I mean, I just think it was ugly. They had way too many big runs. I thought Jarquez Hunter was allowed to be more physical than he should have been. I thought we should have done more against him. He's a great runner. I don't want to take anything away from Jarquez Hunter, but I just think that what usually makes this Georgia defense really good is when they get him, when they stop him from getting going, when they get guys in the backfield and stuff runs. And for them not to be able to do that is something that we're not used to seeing. And I know there's a lot of spoiled Georgia fans that are like, oh my God, defense sucks. What are we going to do? No, the defense doesn't suck. We've just got some things to shore up. We've got some communication issues. The communication last year was in the defensive backfield. They seemed to kind of figure some of those things out, even from week to week this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's down into the option run game, which Hugh Freeze does a great job of coaching that. So you got to tip your hat to him a little bit. I think it's good.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Like you said, just a bunch of missed assignments I saw. A couple of missed tackles, probably hit a gap that you weren't supposed to here and there. I think we blitzed ourselves out of a lot of things a couple of times, especially on that last drive. Tried to disguise some things and we blitzed a guy and the guy's supposed to pop out, getting the hook curls on, and he didn't, which luckily, Thornton just overthrew him on the slant. Otherwise, that's another first down. But it's just one of those deals to where, we just got to shore some things up on that side of the ball. Like we've talked about before, there's not a big name on that side of the ball that you're just like, oh my God. I think Michael Williams, I think he's down, or he didn't make a whole lot of noise with his play.
There was a couple of plays he had, but not certain the volume.
Yeah, that I expected, set the edge, and you got a couple of guys that you're just waiting to just have a coming out party. And I know we'll talk about it later on, but in this game Saturday, everybody's going to have a coming out party because this Kentucky Wildcat thing's pretty daggum sporty. But you'll get back to the drawing board. They had practice today. I'm pretty sure it was a very, very intense practice today. Because all of our goals are still at hand, and one thing that, you don't want to run into is the fact that we got Ole Miss coming in, who's pretty good. Jackson Dart can actually run the football, and he will actually score if he gets to the perimeter. We got Missouri coming in who can throw that ball. And, they can run the ball too. I think Drinkwitz's got those guys rolling pretty good over there. So, and we still got Florida too, everything that's going on with those guys. But, they can still be very, very dangerous down there in Jacksonville. So you still got a pretty good slate of games, that you need to tighten up on. Let's not forget Tennessee. Milton's not one to run the football, but at the same time, they do got some guys that can run it. So I think it's just time to screw some things up. You got to get some guys out there that want to play, that know what to do. And I think it's just to the point to where it boils down to both sides of the football, just execution. You hear Kirby say it all the time. We wait till the second half to figure things out. We ain't got time to do that. We got to execute. One play at a time. Just make sure you do your job.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and I think we're gonna in that portion of it on that. I mean, just execute sooner. I think it's the message for this Georgia team, and you'll avoid a lot of upsets. I want to ask you this before we get out of here, because we're going to preview Kentucky more in depth on our next episode. But I wanted to ask you this about playing in an environment like that, and when teams come to Sanford and experience similar things. Does it? I mean, obviously, when you're the home team, your body kind of feeds off of it, and your adrenaline gets pumping a little bit. But when you're a visitor in a place like that, South Carolina, you've been to LSU, you've been to Auburn, you've been to environments like that. What is the physical toll that it takes on you being in that environment as a visitor?
Well, it takes a little bit more focus. I don't think we had very many penalties, which is kudos to that coaching staff for getting those guys prepared to go over there. But you never really can prepare. I think Coach Rick did a really good job of, when we had away games, we would go practice at the stadium. And they would turn the loudspeaker on, and you just hear crowd and noise and things like that. And you have to communicate, throughout the week. So you kind of get prepared that way, but nothing really prepares you for when you come out of that tunnel and you just see all those people. One thing about Auburn and one thing about Tennessee, you just see all that ugly orange, as you're coming out, you're just like, oh my God, they're playing. Here they go. And then, nobody's trash talking you at practice like they do during those football games either. So you have to mentally prepare yourself for, all right, this guy just said that my mom should go play in traffic. I mean, I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a mental deal. We do a lot of times with our high school kids, just making sure that if you can handle everything that I said to you at practice, then there's nothing that'll bother you during a football game. Absolutely nothing. So the mental toll has to be done on Monday. So that was today. And I think that's what's been propelling us, being down and coming back in the second half is the mental aspect of the game. Because most teams are all right, we're good, we got them. This is where we pretty much won the game, and Georgia comes out like, not so fast, my friend. We're a lot mentally tougher than you, and it just doesn't bother them.
Right, and they got to regroup, so it's good. I really like the way the intensity of practices really kind of help us in those scenarios, because like there's some teams that would fold completely under those pressures. Because, like I said, an environment like Auburn, like Arkansas, when they came in, when they were ranked in the top 10, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
When they came in, they completely folded early because it was hot, it was loud, it was the defense had gotten pinned back, and they just and they just folded immediately, and they couldn't handle it because they weren't as mentally tough.
Monday through Wednesday. Absolutely. Monday through Wednesdays are the most grueling days as far as, mentally preparing us for Friday. Thursdays more so you walk through. It kind of goes same thing in college. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, are the days. Thursday, it's kind of you walk through because Friday you travel. So those first 3 days are very, very important. The more I push you at practice, the game is easy. And I think that's the mentality that the staff has put into those guys. So that's why you don't see any panic from them. I haven't seen them panic. You see panic on Twitter and everybody else before you see it on the football team. There's no panic between those guys. There's no pointing fingers between those guys. It's, all right, next play. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
you know, how Coach Smart says, the next moment. You know, the next moment is the best moment. You know, so I think that's the mentality they have this year: being resilient, and the next moment is the best moment.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So speaking, you know, that's the biggest thing to describe this team. And you know, I've seen some teams that haven't been able to be resilient, and it causes me to be like, okay, like there's some Georgia teams that, you know, some of those ones like early, like the 13, 14, 15 years where like it just and again it's some in some situations it's tough, it's almost impossible to be resilient because there's so many odds stacked up against you. So I certainly don't blame it, but there's certainly, you know, from a fan's perspective, you're just like, God, like you know, this is an avalanche of adversity, and we just
Yeah.
keep on trucking. Eventually it's got to bury us. And you know, it looks like we're going to have to wait at least another week to see how much adversity we can take. Hopefully we can deliver some adversity more often and earlier in this next game. So that'll be hopefully we'll provide a raucous environment for Kentucky. Last time Liam Cohen was here, he scored a bunch of points. And he's a very good play caller.
Yes, he is. He took full advantage of Florida this weekend. It was blessed for his heart.
Yeah, Ray Davis.
Yeah, Ray Davis, you know, I would have kept him in to get the record, but, you know, it makes it so bad. And here's the thing that, you know, before we get out there, Florida had people in the right spots, but those kids wanted none of it whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
And
that's what
I'm
a guy
pretty
like
sure
that's what Running Hard does.
When we play Kentucky on Saturday, you better bring your lunch pail because that young man is toting that rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you better come ready to play. But the next time we see you, we're going to be talking about one Ray Davis. We're going to be talking about one Devin Leary, and this very tough, always tough Kentucky defense. They're always very stingy against the run. They shut Florida down. Florida has a strong rushing attack. They shut them completely down. So we'll see kind of how they match up with Georgia. And again, I think the key word is execution and early. And I think that's, you know, not to give too much away, but I think if we execute early, should be a fairly simple game. But we're gonna wrap this thing up right there, though. And I don't want to give too much away for the next episode. So we're gonna come back later on this week. We're gonna preview that game. We're gonna make some more picks so that you can go with Israel's picks and not mine. Maybe you'll hit a parlay. And we'll go from there. Maybe. I picked Duke, which almost was a good pick.
Almost.
I want to start doing like money line stuff because like I feel like I can do money line pretty well. But
yeah, it's tricky. It is very, very tricky.
It is.
It's tough out here in the streets.
Yep. But we are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts: YouTube, Apple, Spotify, SiriusXM, Amazon, Google Music, wherever it is you listen to your podcast. You can find us right there. Cassidy, thanks for joining the show. Our day was very, very good. At least my day was pretty good. Israel, I imagine yours was too. Weather's nice up here in Tennessee, so I'm happy about that.
Absolutely. We're starting to get some cool weather. It's coming. It is coming.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. This is where the fall season finally kicks in up here. You guys just get summer light.
Yeah,
there.
That's what we're in that right now. You know, It's still allergy season down here.
Yeah, I think it'll always be allergy season here. I think it's just that way. But follow us at Believe in Dogs, at Troopstar28, at Coach Burton 36. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Facebook if you're still a Facebook user. But we will catch you back here later on this week. But until then, you already know the drill. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.